What's going on, guys? Matthew back again, this time for another Penguin review. I missed out on the last one just because there's a lot going on with the election and everything. So this is going to be a review for episode 7 and the finale, episode 8. So let's go ahead and get into it. We start episode 7 with a flashback to Penguin when he was a little kid. And we meet his brothers and the kind of relationship he had with his mom, which was kind of weird. Anyway, they go to play, and then he ends up locking his brothers in basically a well and drowns them to death. And I can't talk enough about how good this little kid actor is that plays Oz. He's fantastic. It's like he absolutely studied what Colin Farrell was doing with the character and just mimicked it, but does it in a great way. I look forward to what this kid does in the future, but he's very good as a little Oz. We then come back to the present where Sal captures Oz. And then from there, we go to Frances and Sophia, where they have a really great scene where both of these actresses really get to play off of each other. And you can tell they both enjoyed it. It was very well executed and very well acted by these two actresses. We see that Frances has a moment where she kind of has dementia and goes to the window. And Sophia almost has some sympathy for her, but her hatred for Oz is still too much for her to let go. So she keeps Frances captured. From there, we go to the hideout of Oz, where Sal takes Oz there, tells all of Oz's workers that they now work for him. Oz apparently has a great relationship with his workers because even in this situation, one of his workers is able to turn off the lights so that Oz can take on Sal while his men take out Sal's men. Oz and Sal get into a fight in a train car, and I love how they stick to the kind of character Oz is, because if Sal and Oz are going to get into an actual fight, Sal's going to win that fight. He's just bigger and stronger. Oz is fat, unathletic, and has a bum leg. Oz starts to get his ass kicked, but then, conveniently enough for, Oz starts to get his ass kicked. Conveniently enough for Oz, Sal has a heart attack, which at first I thought this is very convenient writing, but then again I thought about it. Somebody like Oz, he would have to have some kind of luck, which he has been having. I mean, go back to Vic deciding to leave that girl to not go to California. He comes back and interjects in what would have been the death of Penguin and Sophia on their knees. So Penguin's had a lot of luck, and because he's so arrogant and prideful, he makes sure to let Sal know with his last dying seconds that he beat him. That's just how petty Oz is. But Sal dies. Oz still has control over his little operation. He calls Sophia, who at this point, Sophia has gone to visit the child of one of her family members, the child that she let live when she gassed everybody. And the child might be a problem for her. She might be able to rat her out. So she goes there to talk to the child, and it's here that she sees that what's being done to this child is the same thing that was done to her. So she's had it. She doesn't want any more of this game. She only wants vengeance against Oz. So they decide to meet. She pulls up in her car. And then Oz does something really stupid, which is approach the car. The car ends up having a bomb in it. And if she wanted to, she could have detonated it and killed Oz right then. Oz should have known better than to walk over to that car. I thought that made him look kind of dumb, in my opinion. But it's not his mom in the back of the car, it's the bomb. He runs. He survives the blast. He climbs out of that hole. And then he gets taken hostage by the crooked cop, who then takes him to Sophia. That's where the episode ends. That's episode 7. This episode was great, other than Oz walking to the car like a dumbass. He should have known better. But this was a great episode. One of the greatest. I think 4 is still maybe the best with Sophia's backstory. But it's here that we head into episode 8, the finale.
I'm gonna take care of you, Ma. You know that, right?
Okay, so episode 8. We start with Frances, who's in a flashback because she's basically having some kind of therapeutic session being done by, I can't remember, is it Theo Rossi? I think that's the name of the actor. But Sophia's boyfriend, basically. And we see that she's inhabiting her younger self in her memory. We see a reflection of her younger self in the mirror. And real quick, I touched on how great the actor was for Little Oz. The actress portraying a young Frances is fantastic as well. Both of these actors, you completely believe that these are the younger version of these characters. They absolutely nailed it. And that younger actress for Frances sounds and even acts just like the older actress. It's very well done. But from here, we see that Frances actually knew the whole time that it was Oz who killed his brothers. She knew the whole time, and she even plotted to kill Oz with Oz's hero, the guy that he looked up to that drove the golden Cadillac and made everybody feel safe. That guy is the one that was plotting with his own mother to kill him. Very interesting, and it really shows how terrible everybody is in this show. But from there, we come back to the present where Vic shows up with all the gang members from all the different tribes, and they see the large destruction. They view it as a potential risk and decide to leave. Vic talks some shit to him before he gets punched by a man named Link. He'll come in and play a much bigger part later. But apparently, Vic and Link have some kind of friendship that I wasn't very aware of in the past 7 episodes. And that's probably the biggest weakness of this episode and maybe the series. But let's keep moving forward. We go back to Sophia, Oz, and Francis, who are now in the same room together. And she decides that she's going to torture Oz by having Francis reveal to him that she always knew that Oz killed his brothers. She even goes as far as to put Francis's finger, her pinky, in, I don't know what you call it, a cigar cutter. And Oz is willing to go as far as have his mother lose her finger just to keep lying, even when Francis knows it and she tells him that she knows it. She gets so disgusted by her son that she tells him that she hates him. And I think she even calls him a prick at one point and calls him the devil. She even referred to him as the devil when he was a baby, or not a baby, but when he was a child. Sophia lets her up. She goes and talks shit right to Oz's face, and then even goes as far as to stab him with a broken bottle before she passes out from what we find out was a clot, I believe. But anyway, a lot goes down, and I have this part written down. Oz, you can chalk it up to adrenaline, love, whatever you want. He's able to shoot at Sophia and all of her people while also picking up the dead weight of his mother and then walking out on a bum leg. I thought it was kind of convenient, not very realistic. I have to call out the things that I see that I notice like that. It's kind of minor in comparison to the entire series and this episode, but I have to say it. It was very unrealistic in my opinion. But from there, they escape. They go to the hospital where he puts his mother, Frances, in the hospital. He steals some supplies, goes to a room where he's stitching up the stab wound from his own mom. Vic comes in, and Vic gives him an inspirational speech about how Oz got Link a job. I'm not even sure how that happened. I'd have to go back and look, but I don't know how Oz got Link a job in his own tribe or gang. I don't know how that happened. But from there, Vic gets Oz back on his feet. Oz decides to go to the courthouse and use his strings that he has there with that same politician that he had by the nose earlier in the season. I think probably 2 episodes ago. But the politician says that he'll have to look clean, and that'll come in later. So then Link calls Vic, tells him that they need to do something. And at this point, I'm thinking, everybody's thinking that Link's just using Vic because now there's a hit out on the head of the penguin. So again, we'll get to the Link stuff in a little bit. Link shows up. He picks up Oz. You think that they have him as prisoner. But then it turns out that Link's working with Oz and Vic. Somehow Vic was able to get Link to turn on his own superior. Really background stuff. I'm not sure how they did it, but it works out for Penguin. I kind of have a problem with that because we didn't really see a lot of that on screen. At least I didn't. Let me know in the comments below if I missed it. But anyway, now Oz has flipped it. He has Sophia. You think he's going to shoot her in the back of the head, but he leaves her to the police. He frames her for everything that he's done. He even puts his own drug lab on Sal because Sal's body's there. It works out perfectly for Oz. Oz has finally won. He's got everything he wants. He's beaten the Falcones, the Maronis. He's now on top. And he finds out that his mom's had a stroke. He's never going to hear his mom say that she's proud of him, ever. She's just stuck as a vegetable. She's alive. She can hear, but she can't move, talk, or nothing. So it's at this point that Oz and Vic head outside. They're talking and drinking about everything. And unfortunately for Vic, he refers to himself as Oz's family. And by now, we've all learned that Oz considers family to be a weakness. Oz has to be on top. Everything is about Oz. So Oz chokes Vic to death right then and there. Before he can second guess himself, he takes out Vic. I felt terrible. Everybody did. But with, you know, the past being 2020, Vic had an opportunity to go to California with that girl. He could have hopped on that bus with that girl and gone to California and set out a whole new life, a better life. And it's really sad because that's obviously what his family would have wanted for him. But instead, he decides that instead of going to California with a pretty girl, he's going to stay in Gotham with a fat man named Oz, who is known as the Penguin. And so you get what you pay for. I do feel bad for Vic, but at the end of the day, he's an idiot. He's not very smart. He's a dumbass. And it's another thing. It's one thing to not go on a bus by yourself to California. You got a girl there waiting on you who's willing to go with you and look out for you and be your partner, and you choose to stay with Oz. Vic deserves this. And I feel bad for him. I feel bad for his family. His family never wanted that for him. But now he's just a random dead kid in Gotham, just another day. But it's very sad, but it really supports Oz as a villain. It makes us hate him, and we cannot wait to see him go against Batman. We go back to Sophia, who's back in Arkham, back in hell, just like Oz told her where she was going. And she gets mail from Selena Kyle, who, if you watch the Batman, Selena found out she is actually Sophia's sister because Carmine is actually her father as well. So now she's written a letter to Sophia, and Sophia knows, and she gets a little smile on her face. We don't know what that means. Catwoman and Sophia. Catwoman is not necessarily a hero, but she's not a villain either. She is definitely a thief, but that kind of begins and ends there. She's nowhere near Sophia in terms of villainy. So that's going to be an interesting relationship. How did they get along? That's going to be very fun to see. I'm very happy that Sophia is alive. I really want to see her interact with Batman at some point. That's going to be very good. But then from there, we go back to Oz. Oz is dressed up in his traditional penguin garb with the fluffy coat. He's even got his top hat. I think he even had a cane. He goes up and he's got this high rise like he promised his mom. He goes in there. He's got his mom who's still not catatonic, but still a vegetable. And all she can do is look out the window and cry because now she's living in hell. She's in a place now where she's regretting not killing her son, which is a terribly awful place to be. But she's stuck in a terrible place, not really one that I think she deserves. You can argue Vic deserved what he got. I guess you could say Frances deserves what she got, considering she knew the kind of son that she had, and she let him have a path of crime in his life anyway. So you can make an argument she deserves it, but that's pretty tough. We follow Oz to go back into his living room where he has his prostitute Eve dressed up like his mom. And we see that he is actually maybe as crazy as anyone else in Arkham. He's dancing with his mom, or with the Eve, who's dressed like his mom in her dress. They got a wig on and everything. And she's playing the game. She's going along with it for the money. This is basically just craziness. We pull out, and the back signal comes on. Him and Eve are talking about how he has it to himself. There's nothing in his way. And then the back signal, setting up for Matt Reeves' Batman sequel. I'm very excited for it. This show was great. I have to give this episode. I'm going to give episode 7. I'll give episode 7. I'm going to give episode 7 and 8 both 9s, just because I both had little problem with each of them. But this is a great show. I have to give The show overall is either a 9 or a 10. I'm gonna give it a 9, because there are obviously flaws here and there. Nothing's perfect. This isn't like True Detective. True Detective is probably a 10, but this is definitely a 9, high 9 at that. But if you haven't watched it yet, I just can't recommend it enough. It's the best show that I've seen, maybe since True Detective, and that was a long time ago. But anyway, guys, that's my review. I thought the show was great. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Let me know if I'm right or wrong. If there's anything I missed, please hit that like button, subscribe, and we'll catch you guys next time. Take it easy.